Yeah,
Can we talk about the Galway football team this year? You
absolutely.
must
Yeah.
be like, and I've said this a few times, but I'm glad I can ask a Galway man who's been following the team this. Have you ever seen a team flick a switch so quickly overnight? Like it's pretty much the same group of players, and they went from playing dour drab stuff to losing football also to all of a sudden brilliant football that's winning.
Yeah, it's the PJ factors that I like to refer to it in North Galway where I'm working. Yeah, he's just. I thought he'd come in and it'd be an entertaining kind of journey and stuff like that, but I didn't realize it would be. I realized it's the league and everything like that. They're probably maybe a level ahead in terms of fitness at the moment than a lot of teams, which is kind of a point that's been overlooked. And come championship, a lot of teams may be a bit closer to them, but it's been an absolute breath of fresh air. There's no point in suggesting otherwise. I think the whole Galway public is bought in behind him, and he's just even the way he's positively speaking. I think he gave an interview after the Meath game the last day and is encouraging no back passing or just look up. You get the ball, you look up, you look forward, kick quickly into someone like say Adrian Varley. He wins possession, lays it to a couple of runners coming off straight away over the bar. It sounds so easy, but so many teams are so unwilling to do it. Like, and it's so confusing. Like when you just watch, like it's an unbelievable template. If you have good attackers, and Galway have like a breadth of good attackers. You have Walsh, Comer, Farley, Conroy, Brannigan, like someone like Eamon Brannigan who seems to have found a new lease of life. Michael Daly, Martin Farrer, Ian Burke, like those players, you'd be crazy not to kind of implement a style like this, really, wouldn't you? It's even at the other end. Then they've like a really solid half back line. You've John Daly, centre back, who's been kind of a revelation this year. One of Galway's outstanding players. Liam Silk has come back now, and we all know what Liam Silk can offer. In terms of attack and defence, and I'm sure he'll get. And then Gary O'Donnell seems to have just reinvigorated his form, just has gone through the roof, and he seems to be just playing with, like say someone like Eamon Brannigan, a new lease of life. Conor Gleeson has locked down the goalkeeper spot, a really good shot stopper, but played for soccer with Galway United. And even his restarts and everything have been excellent. It's probably the only worry might be the full back line where things kind of can look a bit open at times, and like Sean Kelly and Johnny Heaney are they'd be more notable for going forward than. Well, Sean Kelly might maybe not so, but they're well capable of going forward. I think they've got goal. They've both been on the goal trail this year. And Mulcairn is still learning his trade. He's obviously a young fella at full back, but midfield would probably be another one. But with injuries to like say Kieran Duggan and Peter Cook being away, but all in all, it's been, as you said, it's been just real positivity around it. Like all around Galway, they're on about Padraic Joyce, and Jesus' word is held on like it's gospel, and particularly like anything he says just seems to travel, and it's like it's unbelievable. I don't recall anything like this ever with a manager coming in and just such positivity straight away and everything like that.
Like even a player like Paul Conroy, who would have been criticised a lot for his performances in the last few years. I had a comment on the channel there, someone just going on about how his performances are night and day. Can you talk about what his performances have been like?
Yeah, well, he always would have been a real leader. I think sometimes he'd be harshly criticised because when Conroy was coming through, he would be like the talent really wasn't there. Like even speaking ahead of Mayo, like even in 2013, maybe 6 years ago, like what was it, 17-point hammer in Empire Stadium, and I think there's very few players still left from that. Maybe even on the squad, I think you might have Johnny Doohan, Bradshaw, Conroy, Fintan O'Curry, and Flynn. They'd be the only ones left from that starting team. But like he was unbelievably. From what I've heard, now I wasn't at the game because I was in Pierce Stadium, but just listening on the radio, he's Galway Bay FM man of the match, and just the reports from him, he seemed to turn the tide. He came on and he won two frees, and I think he was it 4 points he kicked as well from play. Just like that contribution is just outstanding. And another player again that seems to be really happy under Padraic Joyce and seems to be thriving.
And like the way that Shane Walsh has been used, been moved inside, and I know he can change his position as well. I mean, night and day for him. Even just, I suppose it was unfortunate for Kevin Walsh that he didn't really have Damien Comer last year. He came back at the very end, but obviously that's very late. He'd missed most of the season. What about their change this year? What like have they spoken about the change in those players? Has PJ said it? Has Shane Walsh spoken to the media?
Yeah, well, as you know, Shane Walsh is made captain, so that was kind of something Porridge I said that he wanted to make him realise that he wants to up it another few levels. He spoke positively, very encouragingly about Shane, but even he says that he feels he can go up another level, and it's about consistently doing it. Full forward seems to be really suiting Shane as well, as in he's just like he's so accurate in front of goal, off the left, off the right. But even last year under Kevin, and I know Kevin had a lot of injuries last year, he would have been working with the bare bones for a good part of the championship and the league as well. And he managed to keep their Division 1 status, which was seen as an achievement at the time. But I think they played, was it Sligo last year? And it was actually a game I was at myself, was covering it for the paper. And one point we looked out and Shane Walsh was back in his own full back line. He was one of the deepest players. And you're just kind of scratching your head. Like Shane Walsh is really a Rolls Royce kind of attacker. So what are you really getting from him back there? Surely, in terms of the Messi and Ronaldo, you could get a few other lads to do a bit more running so that when he receives the ball, he can have the maximum effect on possession. And his pace is blistering. Like, there's very few people that can live with him, even if he is soloing with the ball rather than running. Like he solos with the ball almost as quickly as he is without it, and just a gifted player and thriving under the captaincy, and just great to see. And it's like he's a really nice fella, Shane. If you're speaking to him, he's really down to earth. Like, but he did come under a bit of criticism, but in the past, like, and he was expected to carry away. But I think style of play mightn't have suited him, and now we're really seeing the best of him. Like, that goal against Kerry was just top drawer, out of this world, and just overall, he's been fantastic, really fantastic.
Do you think there's a possibility for him to get the same limelight and sort of hero status in football as Joe Canning gets in hurling? Because they're both obviously supremely talented, and I suppose your fortunes are sort of linked forever to how the team does.
Yeah, perhaps there's probably a bit of a link there. All right, it's hard though. Would you compare him to Canning talent-wise? Like, it's very, very difficult to compare them. I just don't know. Canning was kind of seen as this project. Shane Walsh was a project, but Canning was probably known outside the county even before he played minor. Remember, we're just hearing about this fella. Like, I think I've seen him. He's playing under 16 game. I think it was the day after my debut or something like that, and he was taking a free, and I think it was 21 yards, and it would have been one of the smaller balls that they would have played, the size fours. Nearly put it out through the back of the net, like, and just even back then you're just thinking, my God, this fella is just a freak, like. But see, being from South Galway as well, I wouldn't have grown up. We wouldn't have had as much coverage of the football. We wouldn't have followed as much either. But Shane Walsh was heard of during these days with Jarrett's and all that. But probably outside that, I don't know. Like, football is probably a bit more stacked in terms of talent at the moment. Like, I think maybe like there's a lot of really top tier players out there in various positions, and your role is very different as well. But the two you wouldn't very difficult to compare really. I don't know if Shane could, if he could reach those elevate to that level that Kenning's at, it'd be incredible. But I just don't know. Like, Kenning was 19, 18, 19, he was destroying senior hurlers. Like, it's just once in a lifetime probably for us in Galway to see someone like that.
Yeah, Ash, please God, you don't get too many more talents like that. Can you tell me about this Galway-Mayo rivalry, or how you've kind of experienced it over the years? Because that's the next team up, and a chance to consign more or less Mayo to relegation, and I'm sure you'd enjoy that.
Well, that's a big one for Galway supporters, particularly in North and West Galway as well. They'd love nothing more than when you're on the throat now with Mayo to kind of to finish the job, as they say. But it's like Mayo. It's unbelievable rivalry. Like, there is. Like, I don't think there's any rivalry out there like it in any of the codes across hurling or football. Like, they're so evenly poised in terms of championship matches. I think it currently stands at, like, I think it's Galway 41 wins, Mayo 42 after beating them last year in Limerick, and just 6 draws. As I said, either team would like take great delight in knocking the other one down a pedestal or two. Mayo kind of probably seen as probably in Galway a bit of the media darlings over the last few years. Like, it's, and maybe now Mayo are seeing that Galway are very popular now in the media under Joyce, and they'd like nothing more than maybe to knock that. It's kind of, we've seen kind of a power shift over the years with Galway and Mayo, though. Like, say in the late 90s and early 90s was Galway, then around the mid 90s it's probably swung back towards Mayo, then the late 90s as well, back towards Galway. Then early 2010s was all Mayo really. Like, so I think I touched on it, the 2013 game at Pearse Stadium. Galway, Alan Mulholland. It was just one of the darkest days. Even though it was lovely sunshine, I think the sun was splitting the rocks. It was 17-point win, and just felt like this is just misery. Like, really was in. But over the last few years, Galway seemed to kind of got on top of them. I think dating back, it was something like Galway before last year's loss. I think the last 8 games in all competitions, Galway had beaten them. Mayo always have a sting though, like against Galway in particular. And the further you go on, it's probably the worst time to play them, because just their experience is something else. And it's just you never enjoy playing Mayo, because it's similar to with Tip, like, or something like that. There's just too much riding on the line, and it's just you want to win no matter what, and it just doesn't matter how crap the game might be, or just how lacking in quality it is. It's just, if you can get over the line, happy days, and you can saw it into them for the next few months, like say. And sending Mayo down would be massive for Galway. It'd be just it'll be real kind of first step in Padraic Joyce's bout for Connacht this year, and it would really put a bit of seed of doubt, and maybe Mayo as well. But you don't know, like Mayo are going to come full guns blazing at the week, or Sunday week, should I say. I'd imagine that they'll really, really put it up to Galway, and Galway certainly won't get it their own way.
What I like is that rather than sort of saying there's a great rivalry and blah blah blah, you've actually sold it into them, and I commend you for it, because too many people.
I'm too long working in North Galway, Shane. I'm sure, you'd have nothing but respect for Mayo as well for what they've achieved. You'd like to remind them not getting over the line. Like, it's like they're still like they were the only team that put it up to an incredible Dublin team. Without them, the championship would have been a dull affair over the last years. They'd probably been calling for Dublin to be split into 22 rather than 4 without them. Like, it's just. Other than that, yeah. But as I said, working in North Galway, you just hear, there's great banter around too. Like, in terms of like either Mayo friends you text after a game, or yes, you just and they'd saw it back into you, so you're left with no choice either. Like, so it's like that really.
So obviously winning against Mayo would mean a league final, and then at the moment it's out of Dublin's hands whether they get to a final or not. So a league title is there. Obviously we've seen Connacht titles been won in recent years, and Padraic Joyce has talked up the idea of winning all the titles, including the All-Ireland, in the first year. Why not? Which I think we all love hearing that. Yeah. Do you think these titles are all realistic? I mean, certainly the league title feels that way.
Yeah, well, the league title has to be realistic at this point where you're standing in the group. A draw in your last two, when either against Mayo or Dublin, I think guarantees the league final. I could be wrong in saying that, but the league is definitely realistic. I can't see how it's not. Like, if you're coming up against someone like Kerry in Croke Park, there's absolutely. I wouldn't imagine they'd be like Kerry are an unbelievable team, but Galway'd relish the opportunity to take them on at present. And they went down to Kerry in the Heartlands. Was it Killarney or Tralee? I can't remember which the venue was, but and ran them close. And a lot of people who were down it said Galway were lucky not to actually come away with a win from it. As for that, Connacht is obviously realistic. It should be the minimum achievement every year for Galway, looking towards winning Connacht, especially with the talent they have. All Ireland, I'm not so sure. I think I touched on it earlier on. I think Galway physically are maybe a level above, maybe like Dublin, or clearly nowhere near where they're going to be in championship. Kerry obviously can push it another level or two as well. Like, you wonder, are Kerry really pushing as hard as they can for the league? It's very difficult to know. I think making Super 8s and having a real cut at it, and maybe making an All-Ireland semi-final, and you never know, like, from there. But it'd be a brave man. I personally wouldn't be backing Galway for an All-Ireland in football, and I probably wouldn't in hurling either, being perfectly honest. But if I was to pick it, but it's, who knows? You never know in these things. Like, and you can always things can change in a whim, or an injury here or there for a key player. Things can fall asunder all of a sudden, or injury for a key player in another team. Same story scenario, really. You just don't know. But league definitely should be one they should be aiming to win for sure, and definitely Connacht title and a cut of the Super 8, a cut of the semi-final after Super 8s.
David Connors of the Tuam Herald, you've been very good with your time. Thanks for watching our game. Don't forget to like and share the videos, and if you're new to the channel, hit subscribe.